finishing the night with an evening game here between the Atlanta Hawks and the LA Clippers. I'm Roz Gold-Onwude. I'm here with Isaiah Thomas, NBA Hall of Famer, and later we'll have Jared Greenberg join us on the sidelines. But first, we got to talk about Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. He's not playing, but he's here. And what has he shown when he did play earlier in the Summer League?
Well, I thought the first game or so he had some jitters, and of course, you know, we expected that. But right after that, you know, then what he came back and showed us is what we all expected. His beautiful shot and his long shooting range and his ability to stretch the floor and make the defense now have to do things that they're not accustomed to doing. And that's what he's been able to do thus far in the summer.
Absolutely, and I think the Hawks' comeback win over the Pacers, he had a signature moment coming through with big points and assists in front of a big crowd, so he can hang his hat on that in Summer League play. And just to let you know, for the Atlanta Hawks on the court, Zach Smith, Antonius Cleveland, Jock Landale, Jalen Morris, and Robert Johnson starting the game for the Hawks. On the other end for the Los Angeles Clippers, it is Jawan Evans, Jordan Matthews, Grant Jarrett, Reggie Upshaw, and Desi Rodriguez. At the line right now for the Hawks, Zach Smith clanks that one.
That was bad.
I mean, you didn't even have to analyze that. We could have listened.
I mean, it was beautiful. How can you have that good a form and shoot it that bad?
I mean, it's like the first shot of the game. Jeez, Isaiah.
It was still bad. Whether it's the first shot or the last shot, it was still bad. It was still it still said clang.
Let's not forget, though, this is for both teams their 9th game in 12 days as Matthews plays in the passing lane, gets the steal and the run out for the Clippers.
So you know what I'm interested to see is how will Atlanta respond and play without Trae Young? How will the rest of his team come out and compete and play without him?
Well, with Trae Young out, who is that an opportunity for out here?
Well, you have to say Johnson. When you look at Johnson, the ball is going to be in his hand, and it should be in his hands a lot. He and Morris, and they'll both try to figure out ways to create offense for the Hawks.
And the Hawks did play without Trae Young as Jarrett comes through with the fast break slam there. But they did play without Trae Young yesterday. He sat out, and in the game yesterday, although they lost to the Trailblazers, Amari Spellman had a really big game, knocking down to 3, 20 points, 5 rebounds. And also, Junior Robinson dropped 11 points in 24 minutes off the bench. So other guys showcasing their skill set.
Yeah, other guys are showcasing their skill set, and I can just, you know, Trae Young came over and said hello to me before the game, and I could just feel in his body like he wants to play. He wasn't trying to sit out tonight. And knowing his dad the way I know his dad, right, he's a guy that wants to work out, play, and it would not surprise me if Trae Young found a gym tonight to go shoot in and to play in. That's just how much that young man loves to play basketball. What
is the most important piece of advice that you could give that young man as he begins his first year as a point guard in the NBA to help him be successful?
You know, I spoke to him, and I said the thing that I would say to you is, A, make your teammates love you, because the only way that you're going to have success is if your teammates really love you and care about you as a person. So be a great teammate, then go home and get your rest, take your vitamins, and make sure you come out and put on the show every single night. Practice, 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 and then practice some more.
And you know, I was speaking with him in an earlier game in Summer League when I was working as the reporter, and he talked about the relationship he's developing with Steve Nash already. And you talk about take your vitamins and try to stay healthy. Well, you know, he's also slighter in build, right? So he talked about Steve Nash working with him on diet, on flexibility, and core strength to help prepare him for the rigors of the physicality of an NBA season, especially as they try to put bigger, stronger guys on him?
Well, he's definitely talking to the right person in terms of Steve Nash, because no one has really played the position for a period of 2 years. That 2-year period that he had, was a dominant period when he was back-to-back MVP of the league. And, Nash is an excellent passer, had great shot selection, and understood his body, and had, the type of success in this league that smaller players rarely have.
And Lloyd Pierce, the new head coach of the Atlanta Hawks, already has a great relationship with Nash as well from Santa Clara days. So they're all in cahoots together as they try to prepare Trae Young. Now, one thing we were talking about before the game that I thought was interesting, and I was hoping you'd be able to elaborate on it. You said Trae's already being allowed to take just about any kind of shot he wants. Is that the right way to handle him?
I don't know if that's the right way to handle him. And the reason why I say I don't know, because I've never had the experience of playing with a player that could shoot from such great distance, or coaching a player that can shoot from such great distance. So I think when you see the Trae Youngs and you see the Steph Currys,
right, what
we do have to do is allow them to stretch their imagination.
Right. And also to be themselves,
and
right?
to be themselves. And this is what Chuck Daly was able to do for me. He allowed me to be myself, and then he would rein you back in. So with Trae Young and also a Steph Curry, they shoot from such great distance. When they shooting it from that far, you have to learn when they can and when they can't, and then you have to rein them back in as a coach.
Isaiah, I'm going to ask you to use all your perspectives here as a former all-star point guard, a champion, a coach, an executive. How much rope do you give a Trae Young as he figures things out? He's going to turn it over. He's going to have spurts where it gets sloppy consistently in a row. He's going to have spurts where he misses a bunch of shots in a row. How much do you let him be free and mess up on the NBA level versus, all right, bro, you got to chill?
Yeah. You have to allow that freedom, and you have to be able to coach his imagination. Not necessarily coach the player, but you got to be able to coach his imagination and coach his creativity, because that's what you're really dealing with. And the other players that you're coaching, they don't have that type of creativity or imagination. So it's a delicate walk, because you will allow Trae to do some things and take some shots that you won't allow the others to.
Right.
And so you really are coaching his creativity and his imagination without harnessing that creativity or imagination.
And that's where I feel like it's a really tough position for a coach to be in, because you're allowing a player like Trae Young to develop, while also there's a ton of other young players on this Hawks team with potential that might be annoyed that he came down and pulled from deep and they didn't get to touch the basketball, or that he gets to do that kind of thing. And then also as a coach, you've got to manage expectations of a fan base and an organization. So you're trying to teach, you're trying to develop. Oh, by the way, you're trying to win. I mean, even though they were in the bottom of the East last season. Lloyd Pierce has his hands full. It's a riddle.
Well, the first thing that you have to do is teach. And if you remember old school coaches, like all of us had to have masters. You had to have masters or PhDs, because you had to teach, and you had to know how to teach, and you had to know how to coach creativity and also imagination. And then you had to be able to articulate the vision to a fan base and also to a team. So when you're talking about coaching in the NBA, there's a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge that comes into play if you want to be successful. And again, that's why they required old school coaches.
Right.
You had to have, a master's or a PhD if you wanted to be called a coach.
All right, we will be back with more action from NBA Summer League. Hawks up 3 on the Clippers.
We were talking about Trae Young being drafted, and what we were talking about, Roz, is his shot selection and his ability to shoot the basketball. And as you can see, he can shoot it with range, he can shoot it in traffic, and when you give him any space, he's able to let it go. And what I really like about him is his ability to penetrate the lane, okay, find his teammates, talked about making his teammates love him. This is how you make your teammates love him. You can dish the ball, and you can also shoot it from the hash mark.
I have to tell you, in watching him in Summer League, as exciting as he is creating space for his three-point shot, I've almost been more impressed with his the ability to create for his teammates. And last year at Oklahoma, led the nation not only in points, but also assists. So as you look at his Summer League numbers from Utah to Las Vegas, there's certainly an improvement in percentages and productivity.
Well, you have to learn this pro game. And in college, you know, he, as you said, he led the nation in scoring and assists. And that's extremely difficult to do.
Right.
Especially in college, because you're seeing zones, you're seeing a variety of different defenses. Here in the NBA, as you can see, his improvement has been week to week. And the reason why it's been week to week is because he's had to learn how to play against different type of players, different type of defenses that he didn't see in college. But as you can see, he's a quick read. He adjusts quickly,
right.
And now he's put on the show out here in Vegas.
And recently, the Hawks just acquired Jeremy Lin in a trade with the Brooklyn Nets, and Lin is a veteran point guard. I mean, I wonder how do you like that acquisition by the Hawks and what that could mean for the team?
I like what Lin will bring to the team, because you know, you bring another playmaker to the team. You bring another smart player to the team. And not only is he a smart player, but he's a three-point shooter. And, you know, people underestimate Jeremy Lin, and he's been underestimated his whole career, because those of us who, you know, followed him when he was out in California coming up as a high schooler, we know he was giving buckets to everybody when he was in high school, right? Didn't get recruited, so ended up going to Harvard. And guess what? When he went to Harvard, he was giving people buckets at Harvard.
Absolutely.
Right? Came into the NBA, and when he got into the NBA, he was still giving people buckets. So, you know, I expect Jeremy Lin to bounce back from his injury, come to Atlanta, and give buckets again, and also help Trae Young in his transition.
And for more on Jeremy Lin, let's send it over to Jared Greenberg.
Well, yeah, guys, you know, you're talking about what Jeremy Lin can do for the Hawks. And remember a couple of years ago when he was in Charlotte with Kemba Walker, he really had a breakout season, helping Kemba get off the ball, free him up a bit. Have to imagine that some of what the thinking is here, because Trae Young attracts so much attention as soon as he crosses half court. But now the other side of this is it almost feels like it forces the Hawks into making the next move, which is what are they going to do with Dennis Schroeder, who has been talked about in trade rumors all throughout the summer, but yet it doesn't seem like there's a new home for him, at least in the immediate future, outside of Atlanta.
Thank you, Jared.
You know, when you talk about Dennis, Schroeder, he's got to find his way within this new team and with this new concept and style of play, because clearly, you know, Trae Young and Jeremy Lin, they're going to have the ball in their hands a lot, and Schroeder's used to having it in his hands a lot. So if those three can learn how to play together and play off each other, then there can be a potent three-guard rotation or three-guard offense when they're out on the floor together.
Can they all be on the court together at the same time?
If they can play defense. In Detroit, Vinnie Johnson, Joe Dumars, and myself, you can put us all on the floor together because we could all defend, shoot, rebound, pass, and score.
Hawks up 5. Atlanta Hawks up 5 on the Clippers. Leading the way for the Atlanta Hawks, Robert Johnson with 9 points on 3 for 5 shooting. And at the free throw line, it's Alpha Kaba, who is in his rookie opportunity with the NBA, played basketball in France before this.
Yeah, I think, you know, I know who he's rooting for in the World Cup.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to make sure and try to work Beyonce into this broadcast.
Go ahead.
So the coolest thing I've heard so far is Beyonce and Jay-Z have their On the Run 2 tour, and it's in France the same day as the World Cup. And so what they've decided to do is you can come to the stadium early, watch the World Cup, and then stay for the concert. And obviously, if you're in France, I guess the fans would be hoping for that victory. It'd be really sad if Croatia won.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they'd still love some Beyonce after a loss, too.
Oh,
And Jay-Z, I love Beyonce, but Jay-Z's there, too.
You're going to love some Jay-Z and some Beyonce after a loss, after a win, with some champagne. He got his Ace of Spades.
Yes.
I got my Sherlon champagne.
Okay.
So you can pick either one you want. And then you got the Queen Bee in France. I mean, what you want, what you need, they going to give it to you.
But can you imagine if France wins, what that crowd and energy is going to be like at that concert? Very exciting.
Yes, it's going to be very exciting.
We should pop out there for it.
Yeah.
No, no, we're staying here. We got you all the Summer League action you need.
You know, in our production meeting, you know, Jeremy talked about, you know, there's a possibility that we may see Robinson out on the floor for Atlanta. And sure enough, here he is. You know, and I played against a smaller Spud Webb when he played in Atlanta. And I wonder if they're hoping that Robinson may give them that kind of that burst of scoring ability that Spud used to bring off the bench.
Absolutely, and Jalen Johnson staying poised inside, finishing in the paint for the Clippers. Kaba, second effort, third effort, nobody boxing him out. And on the third try, gets the layup to go.
I'm sorry, in our production meeting, it was Jared, not Jeremy. But I was thinking of Jeremy Lin when I said Jared. Jared actually gave us the, you know, he's talking about Robinson, you know, scoring 23 points in college and how it'd be great if he got some time. And sure enough, Atlanta's giving them some time.
Clippers down just 3 points as we have under a minute left in the first quarter.
Now, we know Robinson's a scorer now.
Certainly can jump out the gym, just 5'5", gets the fans into it. And right here, being exposed for the height advantage as Harris tries to post him up.
And I can tell you, a little man getting posted up like that, that really makes him mad, and he wants to compete even harder. And when you talk about, you know, Robinson, 5'5", he reminds me a lot of Ivory Latta, right?
Yes.
And we talk about Ivory in the book that she's wrote.
Which we actually have a copy of here, despite the height.
Yes, despite the height. So we got Robinson, we got Latta, and, they both score the basketball. They're both excellent point guards. And, she's wrote a book, despite the height. And it's about, overcoming your shortness and competing against bigger people, and also taking it into life.
And right on cue, Robinson exploding to the basket for two. He might not have the size, but he makes up for it in might, fierceness, athleticism. And we were just talking about France, so in Las Vegas, we take you to the Eiffel Tower restaurant. And of course, Beyonce and Jay-Z performing in France.
And if you get to that Eiffel Tower, ask for some of my Sherlon champagne.
On What I Hear with Isaiah Thomas, and we have Jared Greenberg alongside Trae Young.
Certainly do, Roz, and Trae getting the last couple of games to sit back and watch and just enjoy some hoops. How's your Vegas experience been?
I mean, it's been great. Just coming out here, being able to compete in front of all these fans out here, and playing with my teammates has been great for me, and just learning and getting some more games under my belt has been good.
We talked after the 19-point comeback win, then the 27-point comeback win. It seemed like it was a bit of a roller coaster for you guys, starting off in the Utah Summer League through here. But then, did you feel like the switch finally got flipped?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that just comes with playing more together. Just getting to the flow of things, trying to figure out different players and where they like their spots and different things. So I think it definitely flipped in the right direction, so that was a good thing.
How have you balanced being who you are and doing what you do great while also learning what your teammates do great?
It's been tough. When you're only with the guys for, 3 days, 4 days before you start playing. It's definitely tough. And me wanting to know every little detail about my teammates and where they like the ball and different things like that is tough for me, but I think it's been great. I've had really good teammates, and they've Done some great things out here, and so I think it's been good, but it's definitely tough for me just because I want to get every detail right.
Have you started to think about, while this was such a big jump from playing college ball, what it's going to be like going from Vegas to the NBA regular season, that next jump?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about it. I'm actually ready to get back to work. I know my coach and them wanted me to decompress a little bit, get a little bit of a break, and I will right after summer league because of all the stuff going on from pre-draft and draft process. To decompress a little bit, but I'm ready to get back to work because I know these next games when they start, it's gonna be even that much harder.
So has it been tough for you the last couple of games here, sitting in street clothes, not playing?
Oh, it's so tough, so tough. I want to be out there competing right now, but I'm just out here cheering my teammates on, having fun, and enjoying this.
Is there one particular thing that the coaching staff has talked to you that they need you to work on between now and September 24th?
Well, not necessarily one particular thing. I know I want to continue, and they want me to continue to work on, continue to get stronger, continue to learn the offense, different things. Coach Pierce is coming in new with me, so just learning different things while I'm gone.
Well, considering the circumstances with the big boss, sitting a couple of seats over to your right here, you said all the right things. Maybe ask for a raise if you can do that. I don't know if that's legal.
Yeah, I don't know if that's legal either, but
He just rolled his eyes, by the way.
yeah, I don't know about all that.
All right, well, Travis Lank, the general manager, sitting over here. You did well. Congratulations getting your first few games under your belt, and look forward to seeing you in Atlanta.
Appreciate it. I'm excited to get everything going in Atlanta, so they should be excited as well.
All right, Roz, Isaiah, back to you.
Thank you, Jared. Very nice to hear from Trae Young, who's the number 5 draft pick in this year's draft. Looking on the other side for the Clippers, they've got a really nice guard themselves in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the number 11 pick this year. And I'd love to get your expectation from him. He's not playing tonight, but earlier in Summer League, throughout games he did play, he was able to show a very well-rounded game filling the stat sheet. Yeah,
when you say well-rounded, now that means, okay, he plays defense. And it's funny nowadays, it used to be that you had to be a defender and also, play offense. You had to be able to do both. Now we have specialization. So when we talk about, Shai, the first thing you look at is, he's a lockdown defender, or he has the potential to be a lockdown defender. And then he can score the basketball. Then he can pass the basketball. Then he has size. So, you look at these guys and then you try to project what are they going to be like 2 years from now when they get their man body, when they get their man laugh, right? When they get, when they just grow into themselves. And, he's got a lot of potential and can be a really great player. So when we talk about lockdown defender, right, you see he's able to defend on the ball. He's able to get into the lane, and because of his size and his length, right, he can shoot over the top of people. He's got a nice touch off the glass. So this is an exciting young player that the Clippers have drafted. And it fits into seemingly what the Clippers are now doing, where they've got guards and wings who are really nice defenders. They bring in Luke Baamute. They have Sindarius Thornwell returning with defense. Patrick Beverly coming back. Avery Bradley coming in. Suddenly, the Clippers, they are hanging their hat on the defensive end. They're hanging their hat on the defensive end because where the league is at now, you have to be able to defend out on the perimeter, and you got to be able to keep your man in front of you. And you also have to be able to switch and guard. So you need 8 to 9 perimeter players on the team right now that are capable defenders. And then you have 3 bigs that could possibly switch and also play. So when you look at the Clippers and you look at their athleticism and their ability to play defense, now can Doc Rivers put an offensive scheme around the players that he has? And we know Doc Rivers is one of the best in the business. So he'll be able to find ways for those guys to play together. What is the learning curve for a guard in the Western Conference? Because every single night there's an all-star guard playing. And we're going to go to break on that. We'll come back to that answer in just a second as the Hawks are up 7 on. Welcome back. Hawks up 31-24 on the Clippers as Evans attacks the rim and swipes through the defense, finishing for the layup and 2.
Now, Isaiah, taking you back to our conversation just before the break, we were talking about what is the learning curve for a guard, a young guard in the Western Conference?
Well, the first thing that young guard better learn where the drugstore is at, because he's going to need a lot of aspirin to take out the games, because, as you said, every single night you're running into, you know, potential Hall of Famers, MVPs, you know, every single night at that point guard position. So you're really going to have a headache in terms of guarding and playing those guys. Now, you know, you definitely have to make sure that you're well-versed in terms of the scouting report defensively, so you don't get embarrassed. Because Steph Curry will embarrass you.
Right.
Okay, James Harden will embarrass you.
Right.
And I ain't talking about on one play, I'm talking about for the whole night, right? They will embarrass you for the whole night. Those guys are capable of dropping 50 on you.
Right.
Then you run up against a Chris Paul, right? Who's capable of just,
Competitive.
competitive, and he's going to give you a headache,
Westbrook.
right? Then you got Westbrook, who's just going to, I mean, it's crazy in terms
crazy.
of what you have to be
Damian
prepared
Lillard.
for on every single night. So, and you know Dame Dollar is coming because he mad because we just didn't say his name with Harden and Steph Curry. So, I mean, you have to be prepared. And these young kids, you know, are going to have their hands full. Now, I spoke with Jerome Robinson, and I had some time to spend with him. And
What you talk about?
Well, just being ready to play. And I think he's one of those guys who's going to come in, and he's going to surprise a lot of people. Not necessarily with his basketball offensive skills, but I think just with his competitiveness. And I think he's a guy that's going to compete on both ends of the floor. And the Clippers have drafted defensive players, but they also can play on the offensive side.
You know, it reminds me, too, when you think about the learning curve for a guy like De'Aaron Fox with the Sacramento Kings. And I remember speaking with him, and he talked about how hard it was to be a young guard. And then Frank Mason III. Essentially, the Kings had a backcourt of two rookies last year going up against all those names you said. You know, and so now the Clippers have a very young group of talented guards coming in, too. It's a high-flying dunk for the Clippers. That's Thomas Wimbush coming through with the action. But coming back to the young players and Gilgeous-Alexander and Jerome Robinson, you know, how much opportunity do you think they're going to see on the court next year?
Well, I think Doc will find a way to get them involved. And I think he'll play, you know, 9 or 10 people. And, you know, what he's good at and what Doc is good at is developing young players. And the Clippers right now, you see they're going to a youth movement.
Yeah.
And they're trying to prepare their team for the free agent market next year in terms of making sure that they're positioned properly under the cap so they can attract the free agent and also develop these young players.
So it's almost, and these are their numbers in Summer League, the two players putting together a nice game with points, rebounds, and assists. But as the Clippers usher in a new era, which in some ways, would you call it a rebuild? Is it a rebuild? Is it just a new era? Because
no, it's a rebuild in a new era.
Right. So just to be reflective, how should that last era be remembered of the DeAndre Jordan, the Paul George, the Blake Griffin, and Chris Paul? How should that era of Clippers basketball be remembered?
Well, it should be remembered as an era that really brought the Clippers into the new age, so to speak, in terms of basketball, because the Clippers were a dead franchise that everyone really didn't pay any attention to. And then you get Chris Paul, you get DeAndre Jordan, you get Blake Griffin.
J.J. Redick was a part of that, I think.
J.J. Redick, and then you get, you know, the cherry on top in Doc Rivers.
Right.
So now you really you're saying championship and Clippers in the same breath, right? And that had never been said before in our league. So, you know, you have to give them credit for ushering in a new dawn of basketball, you know, expectation
For sure.
for the Clippers. Now, when you look back on the era without all those rosy words that I just said, right? Then you have to say, did they fail? And the answer is yes, they did, because Golden State caught them. Because they were ahead of Golden State.
Yep.
And, you know, for a couple of years they faltered, they missed, and all of a sudden Steph Curry said, guess what? I'm here. And Klay Thompson said, I'm here.
Right.
And Draymond said, I'm here. and the Clipper window that was so wide open quickly closed.
And those competitions were so fierce
They were
between
fierce.
those two in those playoffs. And then all of a sudden, I just really feel the Warriors, as you said, pulled away. There was a point they had won like 10 or something consecutive games against
Yeah.
the Clippers, had their card, and it was just really hard on them.
Yeah, and it closed quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, as you say, they won 10 consecutive games in a row, and I don't know if any of us realized that the first one they won was the nail in the coffin. You know, because
Why
I don't.
so?
Well, because you said they won 10 after that, they won 10 in a row, but I don't know if we realized that when they won that first one, that they wasn't going to lose to them again for a long time. And I don't even know if they realized that,
Right.
you know.
It's
But
funny how quick it can happen, too.
yes, and there's no warning, there's no notice. You don't get any, you know, it doesn't come FedEx in the mail, hey, the window's closed.
Right.
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 You know, it just
Right.
happens one night, probably in December, that guess what? Your window's up, and the other team is here, and they've showed up.
And now the Clippers are going to be sharing LA with a LeBron Lakers squad.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for the LA landscape?
Well, this is what we know about Magic, Pelinka, and Jeannie Buss. They're not finished. They got LeBron, but clearly they're after more.
Still a single-digit game. Hawks up 9 on the Clippers. 34 against the LA Clippers. The Summer League tournament continues tomorrow in Las Vegas on NBA TV and the ESPN app. You got the Detroit Pistons at the Chicago Bulls at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then the Toronto Raptors taking on Charlotte, 6 p.m. Eastern. Stay with us. And we'll be on the second game. Are you with me?
I will
You
be
hanging
with
out?
you.
Okay, I'm glad. I haven't
Me
scared
and
you off.
We are together.
We're a partnership.
We are a team.
I feel like you're a part of all my first broadcasting experiences.
Well,
my first hosting, my first play-by-play. I don't know, but what's that mean?
I am honored to be your partner. I am honored to tag along on your coattails.
Thank you for carrying us.
As you rise to stardom in this business. Just remember the little people along the way who helped you.
I am honored to be alongside you and
You know,
learning as this broadcast goes, having a lot of fun. So thank you.
When I'm standing outside that fence and I'm like, Roz,
you better
right?
stop.
Can
Oh,
I get
my
that
goodness.
autograph? Can I get that picture? Don't play me off.
I don't know why they keep pairing you with my first. Either they think you're really good or a dope.
No, I think you're really good.
No,
And,
for sure.
No, but you've been great, and not only have you been great, but you know, I think as a former player, you bring so much to the telecast and so much insight and knowledge, having played the game before and having played for a Hall of Fame college coach at Stanford. You know, so you bring a lot of insight that needs to be talked about in our games.
Thank you so much. I'm beyond honored to hear that from you. And now I'll take the attention back to the broadcast. As the Clippers go up, that was Jordan Matthews in traffic. Couldn't get the bounce to go, but did get the foul. He's on the free throw line for 2.
But speaking of your coach at Stanford,
You're going to take it back there,
Yeah,
huh?
because I'm going to take it back because she's in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
And I always wanted to ask her this question. I never had the chance to ask her. She was famous for, you know, running the triple post, and you know, she did a lot of stuff that, you know, Phil Jackson, you know,
Yeah,
did.
we ran triangle offense.
You ran triangle
for sure.
offense, and then several years ago, she switched. And she went to dribble drive, right? She went to the three-point game.
Right.
And she went totally against the grain in terms of what she had been successful in.
The
And I want to
reason-
know, why did she change?
So the reason she would say is because at the time she had incredible post players who were high IQ, facilitating posts that could not only score in the block but pass out of it. You could bring them off of, and you could space around them either on the block or bring them up to the corner elbow of the free throw line and create all that space for nice, you know, back cuts and stuff like that. But then she started getting guard heavy recruits, and actually Tara Vanderveer, head head coach at Stanford University, sat down with Mike D'Antoni and talked to him about utilizing more pick and roll and fast-paced offense. She spoke with Joe Prunty, and worked with him. And it's funny to me how much respect there is between the men's and women's game. You know, even the Celtics, they had so many injuries this year. I was talking with Brad Stevens and Junior with a high-flying fancy layup there. Brad Stevens dealt with so much injury. He told me during the playoffs, he reached out to Muffet McGraw of Notre Dame.
Hall of Fame coach.
Won a national championship with so many star players injured. So a lot of respect between the men's and women's game, and it's very cool to see the interaction and support both ways.
Where game recognizes game.
And 5'5" Junior Robinson.
Do it, Junior.
He has 7 points as we head into halftime. Hawks up 9 on the Clippers, and Trae Young, you said this, Isaiah, he looks like he wants to be out on the court. He can't even stay off of it.
Oh yeah, he's a real baller, and you know he's a real baller because, you know, even in the warm-up, right? He's trying to get in the warm-up to get some shots up.
Right.
You know, and you know his palms are sweaty. You know how we all get our palms sweaty whenever they shoot. So I'm sure his palms are sweaty and he wants to shoot.
You know, real ballers, they can't even be anywhere without the ball in their hands. They'll come up to you and try to smack it out of your hands. Raz Gonowode alongside Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas. On our sidelines is Jared Greenberg. And the Hawks bringing up the ball. Leading the way for them, Robert Johnson, 12 points on 4 for 8 shooting. Hawks have out-rebounded the Clippers 30-21.
And we said without Trae in the game tonight, you know, Johnson and Morris would have to step up, and Johnson had a great first half.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've done a lot of talking about Trae Young, and from the corner, that is Jordan Matthews, who now has 13 points, leading the Clippers. That's his first 3 of the night to go down. Clippers creating a little offense off of defense. Evans pulls it back out.
And this is when Evans recognizes he has the mismatch, and he took advantage of it. You saw him waved off the screen. He had Landale on him, and he's like, okay, I can get my shot off on him.
Morris probing the defense and is able to draw the foul. Evans in the fast break slows down and decides to run something for himself, seeing the defense sagging off and hanging out. The bigger defender doesn't want to deal with his speed, so he takes all that space to himself and pulls up for the jumper. At the free throw line for the Hawks, that's Morris. And you know, we were talking a little bit about, well, not a little bit, we're talking a lot about Trae Young, as people tend to do. But there's also other young talent, and John Collins is a returner for the Hawks. He played 2 games of Vegas Summer League, and in those games, he actually is still managed to lead Summer League in scoring and points. What have you seen from him, and what is the potential he has in year 2?
I think John Collins, you know, one day can be an all-star in this league. He has exceptional athleticism, has a good work ethic, he had a good, you know, rookie season. And when I look at, you know, just his, what I would call want to, you know, he wants to be a great player. He wants to be a good basketball player. He wants to win. So, you know, even though he's not playing tonight, his want to is still here. And I have a lot of respect for this young man, and I'm looking for, you know, for him to continue to grow and excel in this league.
In Las Vegas alone, he hit a stride, averaging 24 points per game in the 2 he played here. He also played in Utah as well. Last season, he was all-rookie second team. He was the 19th overall pick of last year's draft. So are you surprised that he played in Summer League this year? Or, as you said, you like your young guns playing?
No, I'm not surprised at all. You know, Roz, I played in Summer League, I think, for 11 straight years. I mean, even after we won the NBA Finals, I was playing in the Summer League, trying to get some runs, you know, because, you know, when you're a baller and when you're a hooper, right, that's what you do. And you know, this whole new rest thing, this just came into the NBA where the doctor tell you to rest, you got to be at 100% all the time. Well, we weren't at 100% all the time. You know, I wore my wrist out. When you look at my wrist, right?
Yeah, you got all sorts of marks
I've
on
had
it.
wrist surgery here in 1990, right after we won the championship, right? I wanted to win, I wanted to three-peat. So I went back to the gym, and I just shot my wrists out, and I wore my wrists out, and I had to, you know, I missed like 50, 60 games because I had wrist surgery because I played so much. And, you know, the doctors do a good job in terms of making sure these guys don't overextend.
Right.
But I still like to see these young players play.
And it's a careful balance between feel and analytics and sports medicine science as well. All right, we are heading to break here now. Hawks up 3. And Desi Rodriguez beats his way to the ball, wide open in the fast break. Summer, and that is the Statue of Liberty rocking the newest franchise to the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces jersey. Asia Wilson, a rookie, just absolutely dominating the league. And I sit here with Isaiah Thomas amongst his many hats as Hall of Famer, college champion, NBA champion, coach, college, NBA, also the president of the New York Liberty.
Yes.
In the WNBA. And we have a lot of love for WNBA today here.
Gotta give it up.
This is
Gotta give
actually
it
one
up.
of your favorite books, despite the height,
Despite the height, not only one of my favorite books by Lotta,
by
right?
Ivory Latta.
But also Ivory's one of my favorite players.
Why?
Well,
Ivory Latta, by the way, WNBA player, played at UNC.
Game.
Small, like 5'5", with a lot of fire and
Yes.
energy. She reminds me a lot, actually, of Junior Robinson.
yeah, Ivy was straight, and she was straight gangster the way she played.
Yeah.
I mean, she was fearless, you know, again, despite the height, the name of her book, you know, she was also like the book, The Little Engine That Could.
Yeah.
She never gave up. She kept fighting. She kept fighting. And 2 years ago, we're playing in the playoffs. The Liberty's playing against Washington. And Ivory's got the last shot. And I am literally, you remember, Roz, I'm
know
literally
exactly.
biting my fingernails because I know she gonna drop it. What she do, she pull back, you know, knocks down a three, looks over at me, just like Lil Robinson getting ready to do.
It's like
Robinson went in there, but, you know.
It's like he understands we're talking about despite the height. You know,
Yeah.
it's Ivory Latta, Junior Robinson. We got despite the height. Small people with big heart and a lot of explosiveness, the both of them.
Yes.
And that's
they
actually
never
what
give
this
up.
book is about.
They
Never
never
give
give
up.
up. They never give up.
I also remember Ivory Latta when she would play. That's a nice assist. Robinson throwing it up to Kaba, who finishes. But Latta, when she played, her eyes would get so
Yes,
big.
intense.
Intense.
I mean, intense. And you love to see that fight and that swag. You know, you talk about swag, right? Ivory Latta has swag.
Absolutely.
Right. I would like to see Robinson and Latta go at it, right? You know, but he got it blocked the first time. He comes back the second time, Robinson does, and he says, okay, I'm going to throw the alley-oop to my big fella and let him dunk it on you since you swatted me last time.
So let's talk about small guys in the NBA. All right, Robinson right now
I know
in
a
summer
little bit
league.
about that.
Right.
Being a small guy.
How can you be successful? I'll also even take it to an Isaiah Thomas right now, who a year and a half ago was almost averaging 30 points per game. What are the keys for a smaller size guard to be successful?
Well, you got to be able to shoot the basketball. And if you can't shoot the basketball, right, you got to go back to the gym and practice and practice and practice until you can shoot. And then you got to be able to put it on the floor because if you can dribble and shoot as a small player, and I used to say that if you can dribble, now that's the equivalent to having a driver's license. That means that you can get anywhere out on the floor that you want to get to. You can get to your favorite spot because you can dribble there, get the defender off you, and now you can shoot.
Right.
And then you got to be tough of mind and tough of body. You got to be able to defend, and you got to be able to accept the punishment being a small person.
Let's stay on it with Isaiah Thomas as we have a tie game now between the Clippers and the Hawks. But Isaiah Thomas just now picked up by Denver on a minimum deal. What are your thoughts on kind of the chain of events here and how quickly things have seemed to escalate or de-escalate for him? We were once talking about him as a max player.
Yeah, he's always been the one who's had to overcome and beat the odds. you know, because of his size. And then he comes into the league. He's the 60th pick in the draft. He's the last pick in the draft. So then he has to overcome that, and he does. Then he finally gets to a place that loves him, and he loves the Boston Celtics.
And Upshaw trying to back down Robinson.
And when you look at what he did in Boston, right? He had the best career, he had the best year of his life. Then he gets hurt, tries to play through injury, hurts himself even more, gets traded. Mourning. Yes, all of that. But now he's in Denver, and he's back with a coach that knows him. He's back with his first coach, and
Mike
Coach
Malone,
Malone, who was in Sacramento with him. So he understands exactly what he's getting, who he's going to play for. And Roz, we talked about trust and sacrifice early in this telecast, right? So what Isaiah is getting ready to get is a coach that trusts him, and the coach is getting ready to, and he's getting ready to play for a coach who knows the sacrifices that he's made to get here. Because remember, he had him when he was the 60th pick.
Right.
And then he watched him rise to almost, you know, MVP talk in this league.
And a small guard doing it there. Junior Robinson completely in control.
Do it, Junior!
And I think he heard you.
Do it, Junior!
He just pointed at Isaiah, who was yelling at him. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Small guards showing each other love. And there's a real connection right now between Junior Robinson at 5'5" and Alpha Kaba as they continue to connect over and over. Robinson drawing the defense. What were you saying to him here? Watch him.
I said, do it, Junior, because that's what my family calls me, right? So he gave me, he pointed to me. And when you small and you the littlest one in the family, right?
Right.
Everybody calls you Junior. So I was like, do it, Junior, and he gave me the point back.
Absolutely.
Love that acknowledgement.
And he's been connecting from 5'5" Robinson to 6'10" Kaba over and over. Now coming back to Isaiah having that opportunity, Isaiah Thomas. Oh, you guys even have the same name. That's right. So Isaiah Thomas.
Which one you talking to and about?
I'm talking about current player Isaiah Thomas with the Denver Nuggets. He's going to be familiar with Mike Malone, but isn't it likely that he'll have a really different role coming off the bench than maybe he fashions himself as?
So with Mike Malone in Sacramento, guess what? He came off the bench.
Can he rehabilitate his career as someone who was once expecting a max contract by coming off the bench behind two younger guards?
Most definitely he can rehabilitate his career. And remember, we talked earlier, it's not about getting the money. You know, it's not about getting the max money. For these guys right now, it's about being in a place that you love and a place that loves you, in a place that you can have quality of life, right? And you can have emotional stability. And he may be able to find that in Denver. It's a young team. It's a team that's on the verge of cracking and making the playoffs. They're very talented, and he fits right in with that group. I mean, we got Junior Robinson walking off, doing his thing. They're only 3 back. Give me the point, Junior. I love you, Junior. Junior.
Under 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Clippers are up 3 on the Hawks. Junior Robinson was putting on a display of playmaking and the ability to get past defenders and to the rim. And right now, for the Clippers at the line, taking his second shot is Rodriguez.
And, you know, when you talk about Robinson just in terms of playmaking, right, what the advantage that small players have, right, is that we can get into the nooks and the crannies, right, and we can make plays that bigger people can't make because we're able to get in those small spaces. And then there's a speed factor that all of us possess over the bigger players also.
Yes, I also always found small guards very annoying on defense. It was like they were right up underneath you.
Yes.
For more on Junior Robinson, let's send it over to Jared Greenberg.
Well, you know, we talk a lot about small guards, but there are really only 2 guards in NBA history that have been in the size of Junior Robinson. Earl Boykins and Muggsy Bogues were the only guys that are 5'5" or shorter to ever play in the NBA. And obviously, it's a long shot here for Junior Robinson, but he is fun to watch and would be awesome to see if he could Make the dream come true. He was the Northeast Conference Player of the Year last year, playing in that mayhem style for the Mount at Mount St. Mary's.
Thank you so much, Jared, as the Hawks take
You're
the ball out.
welcome so
Oh! That's a little sideline reporter to sideline reporter love today. You're doing a great job, Jared. Hawks with the ball, and an illegal screen. Going the other way, turnover.
She would have asked 2 tough questions anyhow.
You know, a lot of times when the smaller players in the game rise, and we've all experienced this, and I've been a victim of it myself. Bigger players and teams, they really change their strategy, and they try to isolate and go after that smaller player, and therefore get themselves out of offensive rhythm. And the Clippers have to be careful of that they don't do that. Nice, he got him, he got him, he got him, he got him.
Junior Robinson showing the hang time. He has 12 points in the game now.
And got him with the shot fake. Got him with the shot fake and the speed. And as we saw, the Clippers trying to take advantage of Robinson's height.
Right.
And we talked about turnover yesterday, and we just saw that here again.
Finishing on the other side for the Clippers, that is Reggie Upshaw.
You know, so many times in the game, Raj, you'll see a team make a turnover, and we call it turnover, that they come right back and they make another turnover.
And the thing is, Junior Robinson's plays feel like they have so much momentum with them because they're just so high flying. It's almost like this layup was worth more than 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, he got him, he sold the up fake, right, and then he put it on the floor, and then his hang time to the basket. You know, and as you said, his teammates are rooting for him, and consequently they got energy and they got momentum.
Right. Besides yourself, you can't say yourself, who's your favorite small guard of all time?
Favorite small guard of all time? I probably have to say, off the top of my head, I probably have to say Nate Archibald.
Okay.
I mean, because what Nate did in the NBA in terms of leading the league and scoring and assists, and the way he played and how smart he was when he played. I mean, he had a couple of years in this league that's unmatched.
Johnson with the offensive rebound. 6 seconds left. Robinson with the big play. Draws the defense, lobs it up, and gets Zach Smith with the lob.
Hey, I'm seeing something in Junior Robinson now. Now, don't sleep on Junior Robinson as a basketball player, because that was a great basketball play. Not only did he get down the seam, but he left it in a place that was soft enough for his offensive teammate to get the lob and tip it in. You see, he wasn't ready for the lob, so he just left it up there and he floated it in the air, and he brought him to the layup, not necessarily, you know, made the turnover. So you're talking about what I'm seeing here in Junior Robinson. Yeah, he's exciting and everything else, but at the same time, this is an excellent point guard that we're watching play right now.
Great point. Great. This is not just a sideshow attraction because he's shorter in 5'5". He's actually making great reads and talented. Great point.
And I'm sure his whole life, right, he started off as the attraction.
Right.
Right? And then people realize, like, oh, he can play for real, right? And despite the height, Junior Robinson is doing the thing just like Ivory Latta was doing her thing.
We got a 2-point game heading into the fourth quarter. Welcome back to MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. Clippers up 2 on the Hawks. Junior Robinson 6 points in the third quarter. 13 points overall.
And again, they're putting the ball in Junior Robinson's hand, and he's got a mismatch with the big guy, able to get into the lane, and now can they get a good shot off?
It's a contested shot.
Wasn't a good offensive possession for the Hawks. You got to give the Clippers defense credit.
Johnson attacking the basket, plus the contact, didn't get it to go. And this is your guy, I'll let you take it.
Okay, when you talk about Junior Robinson, he can knock down the three. That's what we want all point guards to be able to do. And then he can get into the lane, he can finish around the basket, and then he can pass in traffic. So the three things that you really want your point guard to do offensively, Junior Robinson checks all the boxes. Now, you look at him and you say, because of his size, we may have some problems with that. But what he's saying is, I'm checking all the box. You want me to shoot the three, I can knock down the three. You want me to penetrate the basketball, I can penetrate the basketball. Can I pass in traffic? Yes, I can pass in traffic. Can I go to the foul line and make free throws? Yes, I can. So offensively, you're looking at a point guard who's the complete package. And by the way, if he was 6'2", 6'3", Junior Robinson would probably be in this league with the type of talent and skill that he's displaying.
And you know, it's a good thing Trae Young sits down in a game like this, because now you got an opportunity to see Junior Robinson playing and showcasing himself. He's been in complete control of the game for the Hawks. And that's a nice spin move. Jalen Johnson getting the spin to go. But for Junior Robinson, again, to remind you, he's in his rookie year right now. Junior Robinson averaged 22 points. Talk about dominance. 4.8 assists, 2.9 rebounds, 1.2 steals for Mount St. Mary's. Last season, he was named the Northeast Conference Player of the Year.
And when you look at those stats and you look and you read those accolades, right? This is a real basketball player. Now,
and he did that at Mount St. Mary's.
At Mount St. Mary's. Well. Unfortunately, what we have a tendency to do is we fall into the stereotypes. We want certain body sizes. We want certain body types to play that position. And when people come along, they don't fit all stereotypes that we have, that we've built up, then we discriminate against those people.
Absolutely.
And right now, you look at, we talked about Jeremy Lin earlier, right? He didn't get the type of recognition and pub that he deserved. And now Junior Robinson, probably because of his size, isn't getting the same type of recognition that he deserved. But he's putting it on now. He got him backing up. He got him on skates. And the big, every time they switch out on him, they scared. Look at their eyes. Look at their eyes. He's backing up. And Junior's still getting bound. And that's what I'm talking about. Junior Robinson can play basketball, Roz. This little fella can play.
And he just gave the Hawks a 1-point lead with 8 minutes and 6 seconds left in the fourth. It's a 1-point game.
And everyone is surprised except Junior, right? He's getting it to the hole, and he finishes. Now, he doesn't get up and, beat his chest or pound it. He's like, hey, this is what I do. I've been doing this my whole life. I've been scoring over big cats. Now, the stadium, everybody in the gym was clapping.
Right.
They was like, ooh, did you see that?
Right.
Junior was like, hey, I've been doing this for a while now.
Well, they look at 5'5", going up against 6'9" in Jalen Johnson, and he got that one over him.
There was another 5'5" who led the league in scoring by the name of Calvin Murphy, too.
And Johnson attacking the basket. Hawks putting pressure on the defense of the Clippers, constantly playing downhill at them. Clippers got to keep their players in front. And now Robinson showing off the defense. All right, well, Jalen Johnson had enough of all of that.
Jalen said enough of that small man talk.
Right.
Let me show you how the big men play.
And he comes out of Louisville. Last year played in the G League, appeared in 50 games, averaging 11.5 points, 7.5 rebounds. This is Jalen Johnson.
Now you look at Johnson, and he says, hey, enough of this small man talk, Isaiah.
Right.
Let me show you how the big people play. I put it on the floor, too. I got hops. And not only do I got hops, I know how to finish. and I can finish strong.
And he was undrafted in 2017 after 3 seasons at Louisville. He was teammates with Donovan Mitchell.
That must have been an exciting pair in practice some days, he and Donovan Mitchell playing together. Ooh.
You know what? Junior is cooking.
Junior know how to play.
Junior looks like a whole senior out there.
And Junior got 18 points right now, and he got the Hawks up by 6. He's saying, okay, I know Trae Young the man, but I got some Trae Young in me tonight.
And that's the thing with these types of tournaments and in basketball in general, next man up mentality. One guy doesn't play, cool, it's my opportunity. And that extra effort inside gets the Hawks a basket, and Kaba actually saved Robinson a turnover there, staying with the play.
I mean, Junior comes off the screen, backs up, knocks down the 3 because Johnson doesn't step out. And you look at Trae Young on the sideline.
What is that? Is that a jig?
That's his dance because Junior is turning it out tonight, right? And Junior's making everybody root for him.
And Alpha Kaba now with a double-double, 10 points, 12 rebounds, 8 of them offensive. You know, one thing I've noticed about Trae Young, and I don't have a huge sample size, I mostly met him during this tournament, but every single time I see him, he's so jovial and has this like big smile and kind of a lot of positive, good, fun, genuine energy about him. And you know, in my job as reporter, often you make a read on people quick and feel them out, and some guys are more standoffish, or maybe they're just more to themselves, or maybe more cocky. Like Trae Young's got love for everybody. Yeah. He's got a lot of warmth to him.
Yeah, and you know what I like that's happened over the last 4 to 5 years?
And Amari Spellman sitting next to him as well, had a nice game yesterday, 20 points, I think 5 rebounds too, the big man.
You know, these guys are coming in now, and they have the happy face, right? It's like Magic and I, we were always happy. We was always smiling when we were playing. And then there was a time, you know, the league, everybody came in with the mean face, right? Everybody had the mean, I'm tough face, and it didn't seem like they really were enjoying the game. And now I see the happy face coming back. I see guys smiling. I see guys loving what they're doing and liking playing basketball. And when you like it, guess what? The fans like it.
Right. Why shouldn't you be joyful at work? Although, I will say this. If I was talking to Kevin Garnett, he would say he don't like all of that stuff. He wants to growl at you and bring a ferocity to you.
Yeah, but that's Kevin Garnett. Yeah. That's just how he is. Yeah. Right? Some of these guys were acting mad.
Okay.
Kevin Garnett, he just had real intensity.
At the free throw line is Reggie Upshaw. He's got 10 points on the game and 8 rebounds before that free throw. Two assists as well. All right, the Summer League tournament continues tomorrow in Las Vegas on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. We got Cleveland at Houston at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Miami Heat taking on the Boston Celtics, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. 76ers taking on the Bucks, 8:30 p.m. And finishing off the nightcap, Memphis Grizzlies playing the Utah Jazz at 10:30 p.m. Eastern.
You know, I thought Sexton with the Cavs has had a really nice summer. You know,
why?
Well, because he's come out, and only you as a reporter would just say, "Why?" you know how to get it out of me, right?
Spit it out, Isaiah. What you really trying to say?
No, I think the way he came out and established himself as a leader of the team, not only as a leader of the team, but he stayed within himself and he played his game.
For sure.
He penetrated the basketball, he got to the basket, and he shot a high percentage in some of the games. And he didn't fall into the trap of, I got to shoot the 3. He took the layup whenever it was there.
All right, I got a question for you. Does LeBron leaving the Cavs and Colin Sexton coming in and the lessened expectation of the Cavs, does that give him more freedom, or does him coming in come with pressure?
I think there's always going to be pressure in Cleveland. because they've been to the finals now
Right.
4 straight years.
No, I don't think anybody's expecting finals.
Oh, Cleveland!
Right.
I think Cleveland's going to make the playoffs again.
Yeah?
I don't think it all falls down because they have championship pedigree,
Right.
and they have pride. You still got Tristan Thompson there. You still got Kevin Love there. You got Colin coming in. I think they're going to be a good basketball team, and it would not surprise me at all if they made the playoffs again.
And these are some of the young top drafted point guards and their numbers in Las Vegas Summer League. What are these young guards? Who's impressing you most, and who do you think has the most upside?
Well, when we talk about Sexton, right, and you look at, his field goal percentage, you look at his point productivity, and then you look at who he was coached by in college in terms of Avery Johnson. So he's got a great work ethic. He's been taught well. He's been coached hard. So he's going to come into the NBA, and he's going to perform, and he's going to play well. Now, who has the most exciting upside in terms of fan appeal and scoring appeal? You have to say Trae Young does.
Right.
Right? But Junior ain't going to let him. Junior right now is putting on the show.
A show.
So Joe Dumars and I, when we used to say somebody's like playing this well, Joe Dumars and I would say, Junior right now, he's in a thing. He's in a serious thing.
Okay,
right
do you know
now.
what me and my friends say?
What y'all say?
We would say Junior is in his bag.
He's in his bag.
Junior in his bag right now.
We all have our basketball lingo. So Junior is in his bag, and he is doing his thing tonight.
Way to put it all together, Isaiah. We'll be back. 3:14 left in the fourth. Clippers leading the way, 20 points for Junior Robinson, and for the Clippers leading the way, Jordan Matthews with 18 points. Jalen Johnson 13, and Reggie Upshaw just missed his shot, but he has 12 points in the game.
And I know
and 9 rebounds to go along with it. He's been working really hard inside.
I know we're talking about Junior a lot, but that last defensive play that Robinson had, where he slid through 2 screens. Most point guards are getting picked off. But because of his size, he's able to slide through and stay with his his offensive player.
And Brandon Sampson knocking down that last 3 on the other end. Johnson dribbling through the defense and slashes for the layup. Evans explodes and makes the extra pass. Gets Johnson going for another bucket inside. Nice 2-player game.
Great penetration by Evans. Nice dunk by Johnson, but it's a little too late because right now Junior has taken the momentum, and the Hawks has taken the momentum away from the Clippers.
Kaba having a very nice game, double-double out here. 10 offensive rebounds, 14 overall, and 14 points.
Rosin, the easiest way to score in this league is off the offensive glass because, there's only 2 people in the lane right now, and if you get to the glass and you get the offensive rebound, you can score in the lane.
Travel violation called on the Clippers. Johnson trying to show off a little bit of his mobility and ball handling skills with his size. And more from Kaba as he has 14 points, 14 rebounds, 10 of them offensive, just staying active. He did a really nice job of working with Junior Robinson, rolling to the basket and finishing layups, and then just being aggressive on the glass.
Yeah, he and Junior developed really good chemistry, at least what we've seen, in the last 2 quarters of this game.
Penetrate, kick out. Johnson can't get it to go. Clippers on the move. Rodriguez staying with it and cannot get it to go. Second attempt. Hawks come up with the rebound. Under a minute left. And the Hawks are up 15 on the Clippers. Sampson off for the kick out, finishes the three. Hawks up definitively over the Clippers, 36 seconds left.
Digit assist tonight had they made some of the open looks that he was given. I mean, he would penetrate the basketball, kick out, and he'd get picked wide open three-point shots, and they missed some of those shots. But it's been the Junior Robinson show this second half.
Completely in control of the game. Each quarter got better and better. And on like the fourth or fifth attempt there, Harris staying with it, tips it in for two. Waning seconds left. And Junior Robinson, player of the game, dribbling it out.
Come on over here, Junior, and get some love. I see you dribbled over here close to us. Come on, get some love, Junior. Way to get off, man.
Great game. That's a wonderful, beautiful moment with a Hall of Famer for Junior Robinson having a standout game here to finish his Vegas Summer League showing.
I am truly happy for Junior Robinson. I am truly happy for Junior Robinson. Love the way he played tonight. And these are the type of guys that you root for. These are the type of players that you want to see in our league. And as Ivy Lotta wrote the book, despite the height, we want to see people make it in our league despite the height.
For sure, and the Hawks get a 97-81 win over the Clippers, 6 in double figures. Robinson leading the way, 20 points. He had 13 in the second half.